viewers, and welcome. My name is Savar24, and today I'm going to be playing for you some more March of the Living. Now, last time I managed to go through the story with Greg, finally, and now I'm going to be doing it with Anna here. She starts off with a novice in rifles. Pistol and shotguns are both novice, so she has almost no experience with those weapons. And she has a rusty rifle, a crowbar, and Boomer the cat. Boomer has been with Anna for many years. It is her closest friends, and for some odd reason, I get the feeling that it's going to hinder my inventory space overall. Now, Greg was probably the most well-rounded character out of all that you could get out of, but it seems like Anna is a little worse for the wear. However, Anna, unlike Greg, does have a personal skill trait called nursing. 1 HP when using healing items on any group member. So, at least she is able to increase the efficiency of healing items, which is a huge godsend that I would have loved in the storyline for Greg. And this also has a nice little play out for other scenarios in-game. But I don't know when I'm really going to need the nursing trait other than almost all the time with medical items. But other than that, her storyline, just like Greg, is very situational and a little bit different, but the gameplay is pretty much going to be the same. She has a rifle intermediary, which makes her a good rifle user, but she's not the best. She does not have a really good melee weapon, because let's face it, crowbar is a little bit of a bad weapon. I need to find a better weapon as soon as possible. The rusty rifle is really bad and has a really bad chance of jamming. Like, almost 1 out of every 11 or 12 shots, she's going to jam that gun. Not to mention, it is not good for up-close situations. She also doesn't have many food rations or rifle bullets like Greg does. So, I'm in a really big situation where I'm going to have to deal with her a little bit more carefully. But for now, I'm just going to go ahead and jump into it and see what the storyline is that's different. Up until a few days ago, you had been content to sit out these troubles, safe from the outside world in your barricaded West Coast apartment. It took only one frantic voice message from your parents to convince you to leave your out-of-state sanctuary and come back home. With your trusty companion Boomer in tow, you travel as far as you can along the interstate highways, first by car, then on foot. Along the way, you hear reports over the radio of a safe haven to the east, free of infection. You decide that when you reach your family, it might be worth heading there. Cross the state border and begin your trek. So that's going to be the storyline for her. She's going to try and find her family, trying to get to her parents' house. Alright, now the first thing I did when I got to the next city was I went to the drugstore, and I managed to get a bandage. She's at 6 points, which means she's currently missing 4. So if I was to use the bandage, she should be at 3 points. Yeah, she recovered 3 points of health, so that'll help me with my efficiency when it comes to healing items. Boomer doesn't seem to care much about what's going on, not even the constant growls of the infected seem to bother. I can eat the cat? No, why would I want to do that? Oh, I did not know that that was an option. Boomer looks at you with his big, beautiful eyes and purrs in appreciation. The two of you play around for a bit before continuing on your journey. Why would you do that? Oh, I can't get rid of him, but why would you do that? That's horrible. Oh, that's just bad. That's just wrong. You arrive at your parents' house, passing through the swinging gate and overgrown weeds. A wave of concern washes over you as you notice the front door is wide open. The front window smashed to match it. You carefully walk over to the porch, finding that your mother's petunias are messily scattered all over the floorboards. This doesn't bode well. Your parents' normally spotless home is in a serious state of disarray. Shattered glass and toppled furniture litter the floor. Long streaks of blood drawing a path down the hallway. Weapons drawn, you cautiously follow the trail. Judging by the haphazard path, you can tell there was a long struggle. Which ended in the sitting room. You fall to your knees, distraught, for before you lay the desecrated bodies of your mother and father, both executed with single shots to the head. An overwhelming mix of grief and rage overtakes your mind, causing you to collapse and start wailing, holding the cold corpses close. Grief for a little while. That's sad. You finally calm yourself and look around trying to figure out what could have happened. It takes some time to build up the willpower, but you reverently examine the bodies. Finding bite marks on each, your father's body has noticeably deteriorated more, which leads you to believe he turned on your mother. The thought makes you sick to your stomach. Search the house. You find a scribbled note on the kitchen table signed by your Uncle Damien. Dear Anna, if you read this, I'm so sorry you had to see such horrors. Your sister Becky is in trouble, and I had to leave quickly to try and help her. The note ends with directions to where your uncle thinks he might find your sister. Do you mark the location on your map and quickly depart from the house, as staying any longer might drive you insane. Go ahead and listen to you, she'd still be alive! You hear someone shout. Ahead you see two armed men, one tall and one short, pointing their weapons at a third. Will the two of you just calm down and think for a second? The third one replies, he's unarmed, and this looks like it's about to get ugly. You want to side with the unarmed one, because he will be a party member in your group later on. And now I've recruited Sten. Sten is definitely more efficient with a gun than Anna is, as he has an intermediate setup with every weapon, so I can give him my newly found semi-auto pistol. He comes with his own crowbar, so I don't have to worry about that. Well, I died, now I gotta start all over again. Hey look, I'm back to where I was before. Side with the unarmed one. So now I've got Sten again. I finally managed to get to the part where I got to Uncle Damien's house, and I managed to recruit Chad along the way. He is now in my party along with Tara, and my inventory has changed since I last showed you it. I still have the rusty rifle, I got a baseball bat, I got a couple of first aid kits, everybody has a flashlight, she's got a semi-auto pistol, Tara has a semi-auto pistol because I was not able to find another rifle. Chad has a shotgun and a police baton with a flashlight, and he also comes with his own bandage, which is a big thank you. You find him on random occasions when you come across a barter stand, and it's entirely random as to whether or not he will actually show up, but if you do manage to find him, you need a pack of cigarettes, or maybe a bottle of whiskey in order to recruit him. But he is an expert with pistols and shotguns, and he is a novice at rifles. So, since I already have two intermediates with rifles, I can ignore him with rifle weaponry and just give him a shotgun, which he comes with. He comes with a full-fledged shotgun, or give him a handgun if I find one, which the only handgun I have is on Tara right now, and I can't really spare to give him that one. I should probably give Chad the baseball bat, because it would make more sense to have Anna or Tara with the baton, and him making it seem more... I don't know. Maybe I'm being a little bit sexist here. Anyways, moving on to Uncle Damien to see what the next scenario is. The staccato of gunfire... Staccato? I have no idea what that word means. That's the first time I've ever heard of it. Of gunfire fills the air. You rush towards the scene and find your Uncle Damien locked in combat with two masked men. As you retrieve your weapons to assist your uncle, the two men take notice of you and flee in a hurry. Talk to Damien. Boy, am I glad to see you, your uncle exclaims, panting heavily. Your younger sister, Becky, she ran away from your parents when she found out they were bitten. I tried going after her, but some gang of thugs picked her up before I got there. Damien spits at the ground. I think I know where they are located, but we'll need to stop by my cabin to grab some supplies first. I've been itching to give them a piece of my mind. Head to Damien's cabin. And I got a new party member. Sweet. Hopefully he's got an old shotgun. Okay, so there's that much. He's a shotgun expert, an intermediate with pistols, and a novice with rifles. Of course he is. Wow, okay, so I could pretty much get a full-fledged party with just my family members. But it'd probably be, he's a mechanic. Oh, so he's got the mechanic trait on him. So, could I get rid of Chad? Could I get rid of Chad, give Tara the shotgun, and let Damien use the pistol? No, I'd let Tara use the pistol still, and let Damien work with the shotgun, because he's an expert. Bottom line, I could probably ditch Chad at this point, but, I don't know, maybe. Oh, Damien's cabin is really close. I'm gonna head for the nearest city and then move on over. Alright, so here we are. We are at Damien's cabin now. After a short trek through the woods, you arrive at Damien's cabin. It's not much, Damien states, but it's home. Come in. You take a seat at the table while your uncle retrieves a small chest from his back room. Was saving all this for a rainy day. There's rain in the background, so I'm kind of like, really? But now seems as good a time as any. Damien mutters under his breath as he heaves the chest upon the table. Take what you need, lass. We'll be needing it where we're headed. Take the supplies. Now I gotta work my way all the way over there, and there are no cities within that direction. So I might want to go down here, raid those two cities. Good lord, there's almost nothing between me and the next area. I feel like backtracking so I can raid all the cities. That actually might not be a bad idea. Either way, I still gotta start by going down. So now I have finally managed to get to Becky. I still have Damien, Chad, and Tara in my party alongside Anna. And they all are pretty decked out, in truth. But I can't get overconfident yet because there's still a ways to go and almost no cities in between me and the final destination. But right now, I'm just going to worry about right here, this storyline. You hear the incoherent screams of a woman up ahead, intertwined with intense growling from a mass of nearby infected. You rush to the scene, finding your sister surrounded on all sides by shambling infected. Without hesitation, you start shouting and drag the attention of the infected to yourself. Prepare for combat.
That's pretty big enough. Nothing a few rifle rounds can't fix. Now I'm gonna have you two fire some shotgun rounds. Oh, come on. Aim for the one in front. There he is. Or actually, hold on. Where's it? Yeah, there he is. Aim for that guy. And... oh, run again. Now where to have you shoot? Yeah, aim for that dude. Reload. Okay, forget reloading. Just chop him down. So, for the weapons I have in equipped, I've got a hunting knife, 2 machetes, and an axe. Those are some of the best melee weapons you can get your hands on.
As soon as the last rudder has fallen, you rush to your sister, who breaks down and cries in your arms. For a while, the two of you sit there on the ground, holding one another close. Anna, I never thought I'd see you again, she whispers. They told me it was all going to be okay then. You hush Becky, telling her she's safe now. You're not going to leave again, are you, sis? Not like they did? You tell her truthfully that you'll never leave her again. Hugging your little sister tight, there's no way you'll let her go now. Return to your journey eastward. And now I have Becky. She's got a rusty revolver, and she's a novice in every single weapon. Really, she has pretty much no weapon experience and no personal traits to mention. She's gonna be a tough one to manage. I feel like ditching Tara at this point because I don't really think I need two characters who are intermediate with rifles. And I can give Becky the rifle and she'll still pretty much have the same amount of accuracy with a headshot. However, I do have 65 food rations, so maybe I can actually, this time around, I can actually get away with 5 characters on my team. Okay, so now I managed to get to this scenario. Unfortunately, one of the scenarios I came across got Uncle Damien bitten. For some odd reason. Because if I read the text right, it said Tara was the one who got bitten. And yet it ended up with Damien being the one who was infected? How does that make sense? Anyways, you arrive in Wellston. Exhausted from your journey, you take a moment to analyze the safest way to reach the docks on a city map you find on the sidewalk. The map is tainted with blood. Its previous owner must have met a dire fate. The docks are on the other side of the city, and reaching them might prove difficult. Even if the docks might be secure, the streets of the city could still very well be infected. Do your best to figure out the safest way to reach the docks. Now, I made it last time with just Olivia and Elliot, but this time I have Chad in my party, and Chad says, if we stay in formation and you follow my lead, I can get you to the docks without a scratch. We better hurry up so we don't miss that ship. Doesn't exactly sound as good as Elliot's or Olivia's. All of their ideas are definitely good, but Chad is the only suggestion I have, so let's just go ahead and stick with Chad's idea. Chad seems pretty confident this will be like a walk in the park. The most terrifying park ever, perhaps, but Chad has been a trustworthy companion so far, and you don't doubt he can get you to safety. He can get you safely to the docks. You encounter a bunch of Rotters, but they are clearly no match for Chad, who takes them down with brutality. While his methods are efficient, you suspect he may be enjoying the violence a little too much. Keep following Chad. Wow. The main street is blocked by a bunch of wrecked cars, and there are growlers everywhere, so you decide to cut through a small alleyway instead. Be careful, Chad says, right before stumbling into a grabber. Chad is caught by surprise, but quickly takes care of the infected himself before you can move into his system. Chad was injured in this attack. Don't worry about it, it's just a scratch, says Chad. I'll survive. Now stop distracting me. Chad seems more injured than he's willing to admit, but is already on the move. Keep following. Ooh. Just as you're about to exit this is seemingly never-ending alley of a group of Rotters appear in front of you. Climb on the roof, shouts Chad while pointing at an emergency fire escape. I got this. I'm right behind you. I'm just going to assist Chad because I'm not going to lose him. I'm already losing Damien. I don't want to lose Chad, too. What are you doing, fool? I told you I got this. You grab your weapon and join Chad to take care of the wave of infected that you now realize is far bigger than you expected. Fight for your life. Finally dispatched the last of the infected, but you were injured during the fight. Chad looks at you and doesn't seem happy. When I tell you to go, you need to go. You arrive at the docks, exhausted from your journey. A long wall formed of scrap metal separates the docks from the rest of the town. A small raised gate is defended by 2 guard towers with several armed guards in each. So it was either a choice of leave Chad to die at his own request, or help him out and get injured myself. I was willing to take the latter. You pass through the gate and immediately lay eyes on it. The cruise ship moored at the docks. This is your only hope of getting away from the infected horde. Supplies are being loaded into the ship, crammed into every available spot. People scramble to load a supply of goods while still waiting on the docks onto the ship. Others are carrying furniture away to make room for more supplies. It's obvious that people are moving with a purpose, trying to get the ship ready to go as soon as possible. As you approach, someone stops and points at you. Look, newcomers! Others stop what they're doing and watch you approach. This is the same scenario as it was with Greg. Hey, I recognize them, one person says. I saw them save someone from certain death. I heard they gave some of their supplies to a man who would have starved to death. Are they the ones who rescued that family from the infected? A small cheer rises from the crowd as you pass. A woman holding a clipboard walks up to you. What supplies do you have? We need anything you have brought with you. She takes a look at your gear, writing down each piece of equipment to your clipboard. I have 100 rounds of rifle ammo and about 50-60 rounds of pistol and shotgun. That's a pretty big stash I got going on right now. Impressive, she says as she checks off the supplies. We needed a lot of those supplies, so your arrival is a godsend. Oh, and about 50 supplies and food too, I think. As well as a huge stash of first aid kits, which I would like to use before I engage the horde of zombies that are going to be coming pretty soon. You press further into the docks, moving slowly but steadily to the ship through the crowds. The people stop as an older man in a military uniform approaches. Others stand aside, and some of them salute. It's the general, a man near you whispers. Well, 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 the general says as he approaches, if it isn't the Growler destroyers themselves. I've heard tales of the mad fighters who slice through the hordes like a hot knife through butter. He smiles and takes your hand and shakes it vigorously. It is an honor to have you aboard the ship. We are all safer for having you with us. The crowd cheers loudly, some people taking the time to pat you on the back before picking up their supplies and continuing to load the ship. After speaking with the general, you are directed towards a white tent set up in the corner of the dockyard. A young man in a white uniform hurries inside. We need to check you over for bites, he informs you with a nervous stammer. He's gonna find one on Damien, and that's the problem. I wonder what the difference is between not having bites and actually having bites. My guess is they pretty much just kind of quarantine them or something. As the young man examines Damien's arm, his face suddenly turns pale. He clears his throat before solemnly informing you that Damien is clearly infected and that he cannot be allowed to board the ship. He begins to reach for a large red button hanging behind him. I could either intimidate him, I could lie for him, draw my gun and warn him not to press the button, let him sound the alarm, or stab him before he can sound the alarm. I'd rather not stab him. I don't exactly want to threaten him, but I don't exactly want him to raise an alarm. At the very least, I would try to convince him, persuade him. I would try to get him to not press the alarm, but instead allow Damien to help out with the rest of with whatever is needed helped around, but keep a close eye on him in case he ends up turning. Trait good liar, and that is where... Oh, and that is where Elliot would come into play. If somebody was infected, he could lie for them, and... Okay, I get you. I don't know what to do. I at one point I'm wanting to say 3, but at the other time I'm also wanting to say 4. What happens if I press 1, though? I have no idea. I don't want to condemn the ship just because Damien is infected, but at the same time, I don't want to just get rid of him. Maybe I should just try intimidating him and see what happens. This could be a big mistake, though. Okay, maybe I made a mistake. He splutters nervously. The young man stands up and grabs a handful of green wristbands, not infected, before tossing them at your feet. There you go. Just, please, don't tell anyone or I'm as good as dead. Uh-oh. Sensing that departure is imminent, you begin to head towards the ship, but as you go, the sound of a heated argument can be heard coming from the gate area. Listening a little more closely, you can hear voices coming from just outside the walls, screaming, crying, and pleading to be let inside. There is no more room. Get the hell out of here, one of the tower guards. Moments later, the frantic argument ceases, and the sound of an engine starting up can be heard. You're glad they at least have a vehicle. Perhaps they'll survive after all. The sound of screeching tires suddenly echoes across the dock. You spin around just in time to see a section of the makeshift wall give way as the large truck crashes through its top speed. Debris is scattered in all directions as the vehicle violently skids and swerves across the concrete. Finally, the truck smashes into a pile of supplies and comes to a standstill, smoke pouring from its engine block. Glancing back towards the wall, you can see that the gaping hole is allowing the infected to trickle through. It won't be long before the entire dockside is overrun. All around you, people begin to panic and scream, some running to fight the incoming rotters, while others retreat onto the ship's deck. Once again, I can either help the guard or help the survivors, and I want to help the survivors. Just try convincing him. Wrestle the gun from the guard, kick him in his shin. You launch forward, stamping your boot towards his shin bone. Unfortunately, the guard had anticipated your move and simply brings his leg backwards, out of your reach before retaliating his knife. The blade slices across the top of your knee, causing you to wince with pain. Raises his fist in a boxing-style stance in preparation for an unarmed exchange. You sense that he's about to strike you at any moment. Punch him in the gut. Well, shoot! You inch closer and attempt to uppercut the guard with your right fist. However, he's clearly well trained in close combat and manages to dodge your blow. Whilst thrusting towards you with the knife, the blade plunges deep into your side, causing you to cry out in agony. Stumbling back, you prepare your next move. Well, crap! That's twice, and I've already gotten injured. You spring forwards, grabbing at his knife arm with both hands. Luckily, you manage to get a hold of his forearm, tightening your grip like a vice. The guard struggles, but is unable to pull free from your hold. Having managed to grapple with your assailant, you now look for an opportunity to end the fight. The guard is far stronger than you had first anticipated, and feels like he may gain the advantage at any moment. Knee him in the groin! There you go! You slam your knee up towards the exposed groin. The man cries out in agony, desperately grasping for breath. The knife is sent flying out of his grip, landing in the concrete several meters out of reach. Last time I made a dash for the rifle, and it didn't end well. I can either pummel him, but I don't think that would do much good. Stamp on him. Why is it stamp? Why didn't it be stomp? Or make another dash for the rifle. I feel like the rifle might be a poor choice. So stamp on him. Stepping forward, you bring your left foot down towards the guard's face with all your might. The dazed man is unable to react quickly enough, and your boot smashes his head down into the solid floor. His body immediately sags as he falls unconscious. He still appears to be breathing, however. Leave him! What the devil is going on? At least this time I let him live! Last time I ended up grabbing his rifle, I went for it twice, and I ended up killing him. But at least this time he's alive. Okay, so yeah. What the devil is going on here? Stop fighting amongst each other. We should be dealing with the undead that's coming our way. Hold off the infected. Well, I'm gonna have to do that whole thing over again. At least I'll be able to redo the scenario and get a much better understanding of what's gonna happen. Last time I instead intimidated him, and now I understand that that was a bad decision. Because apparently, unless I let him sound the alarm, everybody's gonna come rush, and they're gonna do something with him. Slaps the red button and a deafening siren begins to sound. Just a few seconds later, you hear the sounds of panicked voices and hurried footsteps outside. Several heavily armed men in combat gear flood into the tent, pointing their weapons directly at you. You attempt to plead your case, but it is no use. The men drag you back towards the gate and throw you onto the street outside. Surrounded by the infected with no hope of boarding the ship, your fate looks grim. You die so close. Wow! Why didn't they just deal with the one person? Well, that is messed up. Okay, starting from scratch again. This time around, since Damien is in fact infected, I'm just gonna have him leave the group and leave him there to his fate. It sucks! But if I don't get rid of him, he's gonna screw me over and I'll never get to safe haven, and that's what really bites. Stepping forward, you bring your left foot down towards the guard's face with all your might. However, the man just manages to roll away in time, avoiding your strike as your boot slams down onto the paved floor at an awkward angle. You feel something give way in your ankle as a dull ache spreads up your lower leg. Well, dang, I did the exact same thing I did last time, but this time, I ended up getting hurt. You pounce towards the guard, but as you do, he raises his leg, slamming his boot directly into your side. Slamming his boot directly into your side, you feel a painful crack as several of your ribs give way. Stumbling back away from the man, you are only able to catch your breath as your opponent climbs to his feet. Well, crap. The guard stands ready in a combat stance just a few feet away from you. His knife is held forward in his right hand, and it looks as if he's preparing to strike at any moment. This again? Really? Grapple. Diving forwards, you attempt to wrestle your attacker, violently grabbing at his torso. You manage to get in close and coil your arms around him, preventing any retaliatory strikes. The pair of you are now locked in a battle of pure strength, each desperately trying to gain the upper hand. Knee him in the groin. That one always seems to work. Just get him in the groin. You immediately spin around, making a mad dash towards the rifle that lays just a few meters away. The guard realizes your plan, however, and quickly climbs to his feet and gives chase. You dive to the floor, and once graceful move, grabs, spin around, face your assailant, who is now just a few feet away. Squeezing the trigger, a single deafening shot rings out, and the guard falls to the floor, lifeless. You breathe a sigh of relief and slowly climb to your feet. He didn't give me any options!
Okay, so here we are. Now I'm able to do this. Wow, 3 of those guys right out of the gate? Okay, old rifle. Triple kill!
there it is. That's everything. Exhausted from the slaughtering wave after wave of rotters, you stagger backwards, unsure whether you can even keep going. Suddenly, the ship's foghorn booms out across the dockside. You glance up at the deck to see the general waving you towards the entry ramp. 2 men are already trying to detach it from the sides of the ship as several infected are shambling towards them. You use your last ounce of willpower to make a desperate dash for the ship, dispatching biters left and right as you go. You race up the entry ramp and leap onto the deck of the ship just as the bolts are detached, sending the entire structure crashing down onto the dockside, crushing several rotters in its wake. Spinning around, you suddenly understand just how precarious your situation had been. As far as the eye can see, city crawls with the hordes of undead. Hundreds, if not thousands, of the vile beasts now flood the quayside where you stood just moments earlier. What was that? You feel a strong vibration as the ship suddenly lurches forward and propels itself away from the harbor. You can't help but smile to yourself as you watch countless infected stumble and fall towards the murky waters below. Having barely caught your breath, someone official-looking asks to take some supplies below. After dropping off the crates in a striped out former casino, I can't read. You take a quick rest against a wall. A young boy comes and smiles at you. I'll take you to your quarters now. You follow the boy up the stairs onto a wide deck. People smile and wave as you walk by. The boy leads you to some spacious cabins and bows. Thank you for your hard work. We will set sail shortly. You collapse in the rooms and breathe a sigh of relief. Perhaps there is hope for a better life after all. Anna and her sister are safe, Chad and Tara. Unfortunately, Damien did not survive because I had to ditch him. Otherwise, I risked the whole thing being for nothing. And that is Anna's story. I probably will be doing the other 2 characters as well, and hopefully coming across the rest of the cast that I have yet to get to. This is just going to have to be everything for this. Thank you everybody so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, hit that like button and subscribe for more content like this. Leave a comment in the section below, and I will see you guys in the next episode. Take care, everybody.